Jesus begins to ask the thief on the cross in Luke 23. You remember he was bound by sin, bound by habits, bound by a lifestyle, bound by a life that led him to the road to a cross at Calvary. He had no way out of his death sentence, no way out of his dire circumstances until he met the man in the middle. Let me help somebody here. If you want to know how to get free, you got to make sure that Jesus is in the middle. In the middle of your circumstances, in the middle of your problem, in the middle of your issue. When Jesus is in the middle, he provides a way out because he is the door. And one of the things, watch this, one of the things that turns people off about religion is talk about the great by and by. Talk about treasures that is stored for you in heaven. And some would even say that religion is the optimum of the masses because it focused so much attention on the other world. I believe Bishop he did a series on this. Theologians calls it they call it eschatology. That's a futuristic view. Many theologians subscribe to that view. Another view is that eschatological talk is symbolic. That's the view of Paul that suggests that eschatology should not be taken literally, but symbolically. But I subscribe to the understanding that when Jesus speaks and says today, that's realized eschatology. When Jesus says today, he means today. Jesus speaks to us in a theological dimension that is called the already not yet. When Jesus says to that thief, today thou shalt be with me in paradise, he is saying that no life is beyond the love of God. No one is beyond redemption. No one is permanently locked into their circumstances because I'm the door. And if I open the door, you're free to go. And so I don't know who else is in heaven, but I know there's a thief in glory. And Jesus didn't ask the thief if he spoke in tongues. He didn't ask him if he had been baptized. He didn't ask him if he knew the church covenant. He didn't ask what church he went to. He didn't ask if he knew salvation theology, or if he was AME, UCC, or if he was COGIC, or if he was UMC, or BCA, or ABC, or PNBC, or if he had ADD, or OCD, or HIV, or KMT, if he was drug-free, or if he drove a BMW or an LTD. He didn't ask if he liked JC, or if he was playing the JBs. He didn't ask if he was divorced, if he was rich, if he was poor, if he was a Democrat, if he was a Republican. He didn't ask if he was from the west side or the east side or the south side. He didn't ask if he was down with the Crips or the Blood. He just asked him, and he told him, today thou shalt be with me in paradise. In other words, he tells him, I've opened the door, and you're free to walk through it. But again, as I hasten here, let's look back at Paul. And when Paul heard that these Galatians were being hoodwinked and swindled, taken away and captured by this, in essence, damnable doctrine, Paul takes out his pen and paper and dips it into the ink of inspiration and says, I better write now. And so here in chapter 5, Paul, in his own writing style, confronts this false doctrine by telling us the liberty that we have in him. First of all, he deals with our position. He says, stand fast now. You need to understand that God has always been concerned about our position in him. As a matter of fact, all over the Bible, he talks about our position. In Ephesians, he says, walk circumspectly. Walking is a position. In Acts, it talks about a man who was lying at the gate of the temple. Lying is a position. Matter of fact, in St. Luke chapter 13, verse 11, he talks about a woman that was bent over and could not lift herself up. Bent over is a position. And as a matter of fact, God is so concerned about our position in him that one day he touched the psalmist to tell us in the very first Psalms that we are blessed according to our position in him. Watch what he says. He says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stand in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, and other walking, standing, sitting are positions in him. And so Paul says, he says, take this position. He says, stand. The word stand in the Greek text simply means stationary. And we need to realize that as believers, we can't be like these Galatians. They were, in essence, wishy-washy. They were two-faced. And they would believe one thing one day and something else the next day. Don't that sound like some folks? And as the people of God, we can't be, watch this, like spiritual kangaroos, jumping from church to church. But we have to know what we believe in and be stationary in whatever it is that we believe. But watch what else Paul says. He says, not only just stand, but stand fast in the liberty. That word liberty simply means freedom. Freedom to do what? We have the liberty and freedom to pick and choose our own praying ground. We have the liberty to worship where we want to worship. And don't knock me, because that's the liberty that God gave me. He gave me the freedom to come in and worship him. He gave me the freedom to lift my hands and give him glory. He gave me the freedom to sing. He gave me the freedom to shout. He gave me the freedom to clap my hands if I feel like clapping them. He gave me the freedom to stomp my feet. But not only does he deal with just the position, he deals with our freedom in him. That's why I thank God. I thank God for being in a place where the Spirit of God can run freely, because I believe I'm talking to somebody in the building that every now and then you show up to worship and it felt like you've been bound all week long, but all of a sudden you hear a word from God, or you hear a song, and suddenly chains start to fall over. Shackles begin to loose. I don't know who I'm talking about. I thank God to be in a place where I'm free, that when I lift my hands, it is a sign that, God, I'm standing in the need of prayer. Matter of fact, God, it's not mama this time. It's not my daddy this time. But somebody ought to shout every now and then, Lord, it's me that needs you to come and see about me. It's me that needs you to send a word that's going to strengthen me in the midst of I went through. Somebody look at your neighbor and say, if you knew the hell that I've been through, you'll understand why every time I show up, I got to open my mouth and lift my hands and give God the glory. Freedom in God. He says it's not only about our position, but watch this. He also deals with our practice. Not just our position, but also our practice. In the liberty wherewith Christ has made us free. We need to understand that if we are free, we should live like free people. Can I say it again? If you're free, you ought to live like you're free. You ought to walk like you're free. But the problem that we have in today's church is that we have too many free people acting bound. Once we give our lives to Christ and become full of the Holy Ghost, we don't have to let the enemy